So, on opening up Betfair, this is what we can see. And I just want to talk about the differences that immediately that you'll see when going onto an exchange such as Betfair compared to a traditional bookmaker such as Bet365 that we'll have a look at as well. So, the instant thing that you'll see is these pink prices. Now, the pink prices are lay prices, which you can only do on an exchange, which means you're betting against something to happen, basically. Here you're saying Italy are not going to win. Here you're saying it's not going to be a draw. And in the pink here, you're saying Hungary are not going to win. So you can't do that on a traditional bookmaker. You'll just get, as you can see, you'll just get your standard 3 win, draw, win prices in the match odds market. Which you do get here in Betfair as well. So you've got Italy here, 1.52 to win, 4.3 for the draw, and 8.6 for a Hungary win. Now, if you're just getting used to Betfair, it's fine to just go in and ignore the pink prices completely. Just use the blue prices. Just use it as a traditional bookmaker for the bets that you want to place, and then get used to things as you go along. Now, if we have a look at football, so we've got a similar comparison here with Bet365. Now, if you look at the prices, you're going to get much better prices in Bet365. So if we look at than Bet365 or the bookmaker, so we look at Finland, Montenegro, we've got 1.90 for a Finland win, 3.10 for a draw, and 4.50 for a Montenegro win. And if we have a look over here, we've got 2.02 for a Finland win compared to 1.90. We've got 3.25 for the draw compared to 3.10, and we've got 4.8 for a Montenegro win compared to 4.50. So you can see they're quite substantial changes, and that's because you're betting against the market in Betfair. It's supply and demand. You're betting the true price of the selections rather than what the bookies are putting out there to try and make money. So you're betting against other people, other like-minded people like you. So the market naturally settles at where it should be, because that's what the supply and demand does. Taking me back to my degree in economics. So with Bet365, what you'll see is with these prices here, if you convert these into percentage chances, you'd think it would come up to 100% in a normal market, but it doesn't. It comes, and I've done it for you already. So 52.6% chance here at 1.90, 32.3% chance of the draw at 3.10, and a 22.2% chance of a Montenegro win at 4.50. So that comes to 107.1% of a book. And what that means is there's 7% in the bookmaker's pocket, basically. So they're going to make £7 off every 100 bet, regardless of the outcome, as long as they manage to sort of balance the bets across the 3 selections and sort of, get a fairly balanced book. But more or less, they're going to win £7 from every 100 placed. And that's their over round. They'll call it, you call the over round. So that's where, with value betting, you can take advantage of that on Betfair Exchange by making sure you only bet value bets. And that's something we'll talk about at a later date. But here you'll see the prices for Finland, Montenegro, and I've worked this one out as well, and this one comes to 100.03%, so there's a 0.3%. It's not an overround, but it's because the prices, that you'll see them fluctuating all the time as people place more money. So yeah, this is an even book, and there's an overround on the Bet365 book, so that's why you're going to get better prices on Betfair. So even if you just use it as a bookmaker and not to back and lay as an exchange, you're still going to benefit from using Betfair. So I'd always recommend Betfair, and that's why in any of my selections I always advertise the Betfair price. You'll also see hopefully how quickly it changes up and down. So sometimes people will ask me where I got the prices from, because they're not what they're seeing now, but they, especially with the match that's coming up soon, and one with a high amount of matched money, as you hear the column here where it says matched, that's how much money has been matched in the market. So in the Germany-England game, so far there's been £149,000 matched, and what matched means is 2 people have agreed on a stake and a liability, basically. So somebody is backed a bet and somebody else has laid the same selection, and there's a match, so the bet has been matched, and it's in the market, and that's your selection. So there's 148,000 now. So what I want to talk about today is that's just a quick overview of what we're seeing, really. So as I say, these are the lay prices and the back prices. If you go into the market, you'll see the same for all of the different markets. So you've got both teams score, yes, no, lay, back, over unders, lay and back. And then up here you'll see the back and the lay for the win draw win market, which we already discussed. And here, just for you just for your information, these are the next best prices that you can back at. So the best price you can back at is 2.28 at the moment, and then there's money in the market at 2.26, but obviously you don't really want to take 2.26 because you can get 2.28, and then next there's 2.24, so you can just see where the money is in the market. Same with laying. The best, you want to lay low and back high, so you want to lay as low as possible. So 2.3, and then 2.32, 2.34, and you can see how much money is in the market, and it's moving all the time. So that's just a little explanation of what that screen's doing. You'll see in all of the separate markets, you can see we've got 149,000 in total matched, and then it will be broken down. So there's 8,400 in both teams to score, 5.9 in 0-1 over 0.5, and you can see the correct score market's got a lot, as you'd expect. There's not so much in first half goals, and you can see that's the liquidity. You'll see, we'll talk about that in another video as well, the liquidity. You don't really need to worry about liquidity in big matches like this on Betfair. It basically means the amount of money in the market, because if you bet on a match, on an outcome, and then you want to trade out or cash out, it's the equivalent of cashing out halfway through. If there's not a lot of money in the market, there might not be enough to cash out. It means, as I mentioned, you need somebody to be backing, somebody to lay. So if you're trying to cash out, you need somebody on the other end of that to be saying, okay, yeah, I'll take your bet, basically. I agree. I disagree with what you're saying. I don't think it is going to be that outcome, so I'll put money in the market and we can have a little bet between us. And if there's not a lot of liquidity, if there's not a lot of money in the market, you might struggle to get that bet matched and get out, which I've found. I have never found that problem in Betfair, to be honest, but if you go to Smarket to S-Market, I don't know how you pronounce it, and that's another exchange. There are other exchanges, match bookies, that I can't remember, but there's a couple of smaller ones that I don't use but I have in the past, and you do sometimes struggle with the smaller matches. But anything like this England game, you're always going to get a ton of liquidity, so you don't need to worry too much about that. So yeah, that's the difference basically between a traditional bookmaker and an exchange. It's not as difficult as it looks, and when people talk about trading and betting on the exchange, it can sound quite daunting, can't it? But that's literally all you need to know to start with. The beauty of it is, as I say, you can lay, which you can't do in traditional markets. So what that would mean, I guess, to drill into it a little bit more, it's particularly a good example in Betfair horse trading, which I don't do horse race trading, but if you've got 11 runners, it's hard to pick a winner, but you might be able to back someone who's not going to win. So you could lay that horse and make a little bit of money. You're not necessarily going to make a lot of money if you lay somebody who's never won a race and he's really long odds to start with. So you need somebody who is going to be shorter odds, and you lay that, and it's still a little bit of a risk because they could win. So if you look at this, if you lay in England, Germany's perhaps not a great example because it's quite a tight game, isn't it? Let's have a look for one that's perhaps a little bit less balanced. None of them are that bad, are they, really? Is anyone really short odds? Okay, yeah, Netherlands, Wales. So if you lay the Netherlands at 1.58, what you're basically doing here is you're saying you're giving somebody odds of 1.58 that the Netherlands will win, and they'll take that bet. And then if they do win, if they don't win, if they're giving odds that they don't win. So if you bet £10 at 1.58, lay £10, your liability is £5.80, because if somebody wins that bet, if somebody puts £10 on the Netherlands to win at 1.58, you've got to pay them £5.80, because that would be their profit, wouldn't it? So it's the opposite, isn't it? So if you put £10 liability on laying the Netherlands at 1.58, somebody's going to come along and back the Netherlands at 1.58, and if they do that with £10, they'll get £5.80 back. So if you win the bet, you'll get £10 back, because it's their £10 stake that you're taking off them. So what you're doing is really putting the stake here of what you want somebody to bet, and you're keeping the stake because you're acting a little bit like the bookmaker. So if you win, you keep the stake of £10. If you lose, then they get their winnings of £5.80, and that's how it works. So it's not really all that complicated. And what you can do as you go through and get a bit more experience, you can back and lay throughout the event. So you might think at the start of the match you're going to back a certain team to win, and then you realise after 10 minutes it's perhaps not going as you want. Then you can lay that position, and the prices will always be changing. So you can make money in small pockets as you go by trading in and out of your position and changing and being sort of a little bit flexible with your approach. So, and that's a little bit more advanced. But I just want to do this video just to show you the very quick and sort of basic overview of what you'll be seeing on the Betfair Exchange when you log in, just so you're not sort of too scared of it. There's nothing to be intimidated by. There's a lot more information on here than you actually need to start with, and we'll cover that later on. You can see the market graphs and trends and sort of all sorts of movements, but you don't need to worry about that at the start. You just need to know the basics and get comfortable with the interface. And I recommend you sort of get involved on Betfair just to take advantage of the prices, and so that you're not giving your bookmaker that £7 overround. So yeah, I hope you found that useful, and I'll carry on posting some more videos on Betfair basics. All the best.